Working Class Beer Reviews is looking at Corona Light. Corona. I knew those are the browns out there that I just hadn't done yet. Corona Light, obviously a light version of the original Corona lager, Mexican lager. And we use this lager glass. The Corona Brewing Company. Well, let's talk about Corona Light first by itself. Let that kind of set up. 4% alcohol, 4% ABV, 99 calories, 4.8 grams of carbs. So 5 carbs, not super light, but somewhat light. This is off the Corona.com website. It says a favorite of those seeking flavorful light beer, Corona Light is a Pilsner style lager with a uniquely fresh taste. It's ideal for a long day in the sun. Right now it's summertime. I've got the umbrella up in my backyard, but it's plenty warm. It's probably in the upper 80s or lower 90s in mid-June. It's ideal for a long day in the sun or a slow afternoon in the shade. Ingredients: water, barley malt, non-malted cereals, which probably means corn, and hops. So I always wondered, I didn't actually switch to this. I'm gonna have to top this off. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Oh, look at that, just enough. So that probably holds about 13 to 14 ounces. Got a good head of foam there. I don't know that I've covered Corona, which is surprising. I should have by now because that's a staple. For Corona, you can go to the Wikipedia page, if I can pull it up here. Corona is a beer produced by Grupo Modelo in Mexico and exported to markets around the world. Brewed and canned by Cerveza Modelo Nava, Mexico, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. I do believe that Grupo Modelo is part of AB InBev, but to distribute in the United States to avoid the antitrust issues, they had to branch off into Constellation brands, which you might see. So even though Budweiser distributors deliver Constellation brand products, they can't in the United States say that they own, Grupo Modelo. Belgian company AB InBev owns the beer in all other worldwide markets and is solely brews for the beer for all markets, including the U.S. Corona is now brewed in China for the Australasia. It's all those islands. It's a little windy, so hope that doesn't just blow away. Put that maybe against it. Is often served with the wedge of lime or lemon in the neck of the bottle to add tartness and flavor. The recipe for the mash bill includes corn as well as barley malt, and hops, traditionally for making the beer. So, yeah. It doesn't really give... Oh, introduced in 1925. The original... So this is 4%, original Corona is 4.5, so there's not much difference, honestly. It's a pale lager. So, yeah. I'll have to get a hold of some Corona. That should be easy to find. I actually got this. I'm going to tell you something. You hear me talk about discount smokes and liquor, and I've gotten a lot of outdated beers, which, yeah, this is August of 2022. Well, anyway, they had this styrofoam cooler full of all these individual cans, 2 for 99 cents. So I got this and a bunch of other stuff. So we're going to do a lot more outdated beers because it's cheap, and right now the economy says, dictates, what's affordable. But it did build a head, it just didn't retain a head. I still see some streaming bubbles. It still has carbonation, so it didn't go flat or anything like that. We'll see if I can notice anything in the flavor. Have I ever had Corona Light? Yes, I've had Corona Light, but I think I've had it at my brother's house. My brother's had Corona Light before, which, shout out to my brother Jeremiah. He just had a wicked car accident last Friday, and he's doing well. He's back home. He's recovering. I love him very much. He's my brother, and I guess I could dedicate this video to my brother. him and my niece, his daughter, were in an accident. Uh, Ironically enough, on the way to her going to driver's ed school. But it was pretty brutal. They were life flighted to a hospital in Columbia, Missouri, and University Medical. But they were released to go home Saturday, and they've been resting up since then. I checked on them, visited with him Sunday, just to make sure he's doing okay. Picked up some prescriptions for him and everything. Yeah, but I care deeply for him, and I just hope I want him to get a full recovery. But yeah, when I saw this beer, it kind of did remind me of him, because that's something I've had at his house before in the past. Usually you see it in bottles. I didn't really notice Corona Light until the early 2000s. So if anybody else knows if it was around earlier than that, please let me know in the comments. So what you get a, your pale straw color like you do with normal lagers. Honestly, this looks a little darker than like your Natural Light, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light. This looks more like regular Corona in appearance, so it doesn't look any less. Even if I get way out here in the sun, it doesn't look any lighter in color. So it's very, very clear, highly, highly filtered. So let's give it a smell. It smells like Corona. So the age didn't see, being in a can probably helped this. If it was in a bottle, it probably would have skunked a long time ago. So when it comes to things that are normally served in clear bottles like Corona, or green bottles like Heineken, hold on for that one later. If you can find it in a can for reviewing purposes, if you've never tried it before, you're better off, because you don't have to worry about light spoilage in that way. Yeah, you smell just malted grains. To me, it does smell more like an all malt lager, but it says clearly in the ingredients list that it is the wind's blowing everything around. You got adjuncts in it, so you don't hide it or anything like that or try to spell it. So let's take a sip. Yeah, it still tastes good. So despite it being almost 2 years old, past date, it seems to have held its flavor. So the canning process is a plus when it comes to that. I think that glass bottles are more distinguished in serving and things like that. They tend to have a better presentation, but not for presentation, but preservation, canning is the way to go. It doesn't really give any other information. Cerveza, Modelo, Mexico. Yeah, produced and canned by La Cerveza Más Fina, the most fine, or more fine beer, the most fine beer, something like that. So 99 calories, imported. So yeah, definitely more flavor than your other light beers. You don't get really, just the normal lager hoppiness, like adjunct lager hoppiness is what you get. So nothing really to speak of there. Yeah, if it can hold its flavor in a can for over 2 years past its date, that tells me that it was processed well. So I'm not going to hold that against it. Honestly, I hold that in favor. It does have, still the carbonation's still there. Yeah, I've got a few other products. Like I said, there's a good chance. What happens with these things at Discount Liquor, if let's say the distributor delivers something and it's stored away, stacked away, but something happens and one of the cans gets busted and starts leaking, they'll break the case open and sell the individuals for, they'll liquidate it essentially. And I'll take advantage of it, because they've had, my wife likes the seltzer, flavored seltzers and stuff, and I guess I could probably get into some of those on this channel if I wanted to. There's nothing saying that I couldn't, especially if they're cheap. They're not cheap when you buy them at normal price, but if you can get them at a reduced price, then I think go for it. She uses them kind of like a mixer, kind of like she would club soda or LaCroix or tonic water, things like that. Because a lot of them are typically lower in alcohol. There are some higher alcohol ones, but let's see. Take another sip. Yeah, if you're looking for a lowish carb beer and lower in calorie, I think they did a good job. I really don't know what Let's see what the normal Corona stats are. It didn't really say. They have the little Coronita, which is like a pony, what we in the States call a pony bottle, which is like 8 ounce. They used to be in some stubby bottles for American beers. Some were long, skinny neck. Bud and Bud Light were the long, skinny neck ponies. Miller was little chubby 8 ounce stubby ponies. And but Corona, they still sell those. I guess there's a draw for them. I know for some of the Mexican restaurants, when you get the like Corona Rita, where it's like a margarita with the Corona sticking out the top, they'll usually put one of those small little Coronitas in there. So they may sell a light version of those. They also have Corona Familiar. But then they have it on draft and in cans. So Corona means crown for those that weren't aware. Obviously they sponsor a lot. Corona does in the soccer or football, the world football leagues, not American football. Football, especially down in the Latin countries. How I got turned on to Corona was because by watching Fast and the Furious, where Vin Diesel's character Dom Toretto is like, you can have any brew you want as long as it's a Corona. So yeah, I was like in my early 20s when that came out, so of course I bought into that and started buying Corona on a very regular basis. It was a lot cheaper back then. You could buy 12 packs for like $12 back then. Now it's like almost 20. So even with the cans, it's not any cheaper. So when I bought one, could get a single for 50 cents, I was going to grab it. I don't have anything against Corona. Corona Light, I'd probably get regular Corona if I was going to get one. Or the Familiar. The Familiar comes like in a big, like 1 liter bottle, I think is what it is. Or it could be like 750. I don't know. Or 32. I don't know what it is. 32 ounces. It's a big brown bottle, and I've bought them before, and they're usually like $3.50 a bottle. I don't know. I guess it's okay. But yeah, I finished that one during the video. Anyway, yeah, it's fine. It's a good product, and like I said, I would probably prefer to go with regular Corona, which I don't think the company would mind that. But for people that like a little lighter flavor, it looks kind of cool, to drink one. It looks like you're just having a good time in the summer. Good vibes only type thing. Float trip. This would be great on a float trip in a can. Have a bunch of these. So at a cooler, you could pass them around to people floating with you. Because typically on float trips or any sort of lakes and stuff like bodies of water, they do not promote you using glass bottles, because if they break, obviously people walk around river and creek and cut their foot. So cans are a much better choice, and they're easy, easy to recycle. But anyway, thanks for watching this video on Corona Light, and let me know in the comments what your opinion is on this beverage. And again, shout out to my brother Jeremiah. I'll send you a link to this video, and I will see you guys later.